All right, guys. I just had to put the pieces together here. So we got it took me a few days to put the pieces together. Now, the podcast I did this morning, I think I said I would do a recap on what unfolded in the course of the weekend. There's a lot going on the weekend. My prediction or my assumption, I thought things would have shifted when I mean shifted, in the sense that it would have gotten a lot more easier since the Strait was open on Saturday, based on the dialogue between Israel and Lebanon. But you know what? We're in an unpredictable age and space where things can start good today and then translate for the worst tomorrow. So Saturday was a surprise to me when I got up in the morning, knowing that the Strait was closed. And just in the course of the weekend, it escalated from it being closed to President Trump making certain decrees. Now it just gotten worse now. And JD Vance, they are heading to Pakistan for this second conversation, where I call a revolving doors. Hopefully something can transpire from it. But right now, President Trump is saying that he's not going to pull away from the entrance port of Iran, because his demand is that Iran relinquish their nuclear operation. So there will never be a given point in time where he will ever pull back or remove the blockade that is currently there. And Iran stated that because that blockade is there, that was one of the motivating factors as to why they decided to reclose the Strait. Now, I got a few things here, a few key core points that I jotted down here. Let me see. Within 48 hours. So technically, it happened on Saturday. Today's Monday. So I was exaggerating and say about 48 hours since President Trump had passed an ultimatum. He had given a decree to Iran. The only way I'm going to remove the blockade from the entrance port, if you guys can relinquish your nuclear plan. If you guys can relinquish your nuclear plan or program, as he called it, then then I will pull back or remove the blockade from the entrance port of Iran. And he also stated in 48 hours that Iran must open the Strait, or he will declare war on the citizen or the national in Iran. So technically, President Trump, in a literal sense, saying that I will wipe Iran out of the map, literally. If you guys do not open that Strait in 48 hours, this is my intent. This is what I'm going to do. Now, for human rights, for President Trump to say that he will sweep the Iranian citizen of the map, according to human rights, that's a violation of human rights. But that's what he stated. Now, we also know Touska is a ship that was seized by the U.S. Navy. Now, the U.S. Navy stated the pretense for which they seized that ship was to give the ship six consecutive warning, back to back. Stop. Identify yourself. But the ship kept moving. And at that given point in time, they had to attack the ship. And also not only just attack the ship, but take over the ship as well. So for the speculation, and I will kind of break that down a little bit more, the Iranian was saying that was not the case, but the U.S. says it got documented to prove that 6 consecutive instructions were given to Touska. That's the name of the ship, Touska. And the ship refused to adhere, and they seized that ship. And JD Vance, probably as I speak right now, he's on the way to Pakistan for a second recap on finding a lateral agreement as to how they can find a solution to this conflict here. And the Pakistani have again made accessible a forum where these two leaders can sit and talk. But JD Vance indicated that even though he's going to Pakistan to have this conversation, it does not degrade, it does not diminish, it does not take away the resistance of the U.S. applied force against Pakistan. All right, so that's where we stand right now. And so what do we know about as let me say it right. Islamic is hold on. What's the right term I'm trying to use here? Islamabad. The Islamabad talk. What do we know? I don't know I'm pronouncing that right, but now I'm gonna read something here that directly from the U.S. Central Command. I'm gonna just read it word for word before I even expand on it. Word for word. The U.S. Navy and the Central Command recently seized an Iranian flagship called the Touska near the Strait of Hormuz on April 19, 2026, marking a significant escalation in the regional conflict due to the Navy blockade. All right, this is the latest in a series of high-profile attacks and seizure from the part of the U.S. against the Iranian military defense force. So this is a direct conversation here from the U.S. Central Command, the U.S. Navy SEAL, specifying exactly what ship that is seized, on what condition was this ship seized. They stated very clear that they made 6 consecutive attempts to engage their ship, and there was no response, for which they launched an attack on the ship and proceeded to seize the ship. Now let me read another thing here that they stated, because I don't want to add something that they did not say. According to the video on YouTube, according to the video from the Central Command force, the U.S. Navy, technically called the U.S. Tripoli, boarded the vessel after a propulsion that used a missile that they called a missile destroyer to attack the ship. The ship allegedly failed to comply with instruction from the U.S. Navy SEAL. 6 hours, that's the length, 6 hours. 6 hours of warning from the U.S. Navy SEAL to the Touska flagship for the Iranian, 6 hours, and the ship refused to adhere to instructions. The matter of fact, they stated the ship was trying to backpass let me use the right word. The ship was trying to escape the U.S. Navy blockade to get into Iran. And once the ship attempted to get around the U.S. blockade, that's when they launched an attack and they seized the ship. Now let me read something here. I'm just trying to read exactly what was written from the U.S. Central Command. I don't want to exaggerate. I don't want to add anything more onto what they said. This is the first time the U.S. Navy SEAL has seized an Iranian flagship in any given war, and under the condition for which that flagship was seized, because the ship was trying to bypass the U.S. Navy blockade. So that's the reason why the ship was seized, because the ship was trying to bypass the U.S. Navy blockade to get into Iran. And once that ship attempted to do that, the U.S. Navy SEAL launched an attack, and not only launched an attack, but seized the Iranian flagship called Touska. Now, I'm just reading exactly what the U.S. Central Command and the U.S. Navy are saying. Okay, now this is a drop back here. All right, let me see something real quick here. All right, now, this is what President Trump says once the ship got seized. Well, let me say, not President Trump. The U.S. Navy Central Command stated when the ship got seized, they were not giving back the ship because the ship violated the U.S. instruction of not bypassing the Navy blockade. So that ship probably would not be rendered or given back to an Iranian from what the U.S. Central Command stated. There is no time frame, and President Trump did not indicate in any form, in any way, if that ship will be given back. So that's where we stand right now on the seizure of the Iranian ship called Touska. All right, that was seized after 6 consecutive attempts. So it means that the U.S. Central Command, in another sense, was saying, we give this ship on seal, on international waters, 6 hours of instructions. We just did not attack this ship because we just seen this ship. 6 hours of instructions, and they did not follow any one of those instructions. So based on that, we had to launch an attack. Now let me see the chat here. The Strait of Trump. All right, there we go. The Strait of Trump. Israel got you in the mess. Israel got us in the mess. Let me see what else again here. How can it? How does you sound? Trump is the GOAT. All right, Trump is a GOAT. All right, I agree. Trump is a GOAT. I'm trying to read your hat. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm trying to read my hat. Okay. Does it say "Make America Great Again"? Yes, that's what it says. Make America Great Again. All right, guys. So now let's move to the next discussion here. Hormuz deadlock. Now that Hormuz is deadlocked, it's in a lockdown. What do we know? Now that it's in a lockdown, what do we know? Now I'm gonna read exactly what the U.S. Central Command stated. I'm a journalist, so I want to read word for word. I don't want to exaggerate. I would expand. I don't want to exaggerate. The Hormuz deadlock refers to a critical diplomatic and military stalemate centered on the Strait of Hormuz. Since early Saturday morning till now, the Strait of Hormuz is still shut down, which have effectively halt globally 20% of the global oil inflow. The impasse stemmed from the Iranian refusal to reopen the water strait or relinquishing its nuclear compelled weapon, according to what President Trump demands. Now, what I taught when I spoke to y'all on Thursday and Friday, I was saying President Trump needs to remove the blockade from the Iranian entrance port, just to, well, let me say the best, in the right way. I stated on Friday that it would be easier if President Trump was to just remove the blockade from Iranian entrance port. It would make things a lot easier. Now, I'm gonna digress on that, right? I'm gonna digress, all right? I'm gonna digress on that. The reason why the U.S. is not moving the blockade, and that's something that I did not know until I had to go back and re-educate myself on that. The emphasis is on Iranian nuclear program. We are not going to remove the blockade until we come to a deal where Iran is willing to relinquish its nuclear program. So while we focus on 20% of the world oil or not getting supply of the world oil, President Trump is more focused on the longevity. The longevity is if these individuals just stop the whole nuclear program, then I don't want to say dead. If they stop the whole nuclear program, it will be in the best interest of the next door neighbors. All right, that's the focus. Now I understood what he was saying. He clarified that a little bit more here. Now, Iran is saying that they will not open the strait, as you guys already know, because of the sanction that is being imposed on them, that there is no intake and no import going into Iran at this point in time. So what is the current condition right now in Hormuz, or the Strait of Hormuz? What do we know now? What is going on right now at this point in time? What do we know now? And that's what I'm trying to give you guys right now. As of today, April 20th, the situation remains at the highest stake. I'm giving you guys the most current up to date. Nothing has changed since Saturday, since the bank closed up to today's date. Nothing has changed. Now, the only condition for which anything would change. And I'll be very clear. And I'm reading exactly what the U.S. Central Command stated. The only condition in which it will change, based on the negotiation that is supposed to be held on Wednesday between the U.S. and the Iranian, the dialogue, JD Vance is going, Michael Rubio is going, based on that conclusion or on that discussion. If it does materialize, then there's a greater possibility President Trump is not set in stone, or they may come to some agreement. We are going to pull back the blockade and have the strait open. As of today's date, as I'm saying this right now, the strait still remains closed. All right, let me touch on something real quick again. Now, initially, when the strait was open, we all know when the strait was open, it was not open based on the dialogue that was held between the U.S. and Iranian official at the first talk. It was not the reason why the strait was open. It was open because Israel and Lebanon came to this unique understanding where the Lebanese were able to go back to Lebanon, and they created a buffer zone where there was no conflict. And based on that, Iran felt like that was a progress, and that led to them opening the strait Saturday morning. Am I correct? Yeah, Friday night, Saturday morning. The strait will open as a complement to that effort. Now, they closed the strait back up because the U.S. refused to move the blockade. Something we already know. Now, if this second negotiation that's supposed to take course on Wednesday, if it goes as planned, as President Trump stated, if that dialogue goes as planned, he didn't say he's gonna remove the blockade, but if it goes as planned, there's a greater possibility the 20% of the world oil flow will start again. All right. Now, I also do not believe that President Trump will declare war. Like he stated, he will declare war on Iran. Not only declare war, but he will erase the Iranian citizen of the map. Now, I don't believe that will ever happen. And according to human rights, United Nations, ECOWAS, NATO, that declaration on the part of President Trump will consider a violation of human rights. But will that take its course? I don't know. Now, this is where it seemed a little bit more complex. I would say a little bit more complex. Other countries are saying, next door to Iran, are saying, especially the Emirate. You guys know what the Emirates are. The Emirates are saying, we do not support President Trump but killing Iranian citizens. But this is what we agree upon, that Iran refused to adhere to other countries' citizens. I don't know what you guys know. Iran launched an attack in the Emirates territory yesterday and killed almost 125 people. Now, the leader of the Emirates stated what President Trump said, that he's going to wipe out Iran from the map. That should not be done, but he was saying that there has to be a measure as close to that, so that their citizens in their country can be safe. Now let's move on to another phase of the war but another phase of what happened in Hormuz. Double blockade. What we knew, we thought the U.S. had one blockade in Iran. That's what we all thought. Now, according to the U.S. Central Command, there are dual blockade. And let me read what it says here. I don't want to exaggerate. Let me read what it says here. While Iran has choked off tankers, traffic, and reportedly laid siege mines, the U.S. Navy has enforced its second blockade to prevent any vessel from entering or leaving Iranian port. Let me read that again. While Iran has plenty mounts in the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. has deployed another U.S. Navy SEAL to block the entrance port of any vessel for entering or leaving Iranian port. So now what I taught, to be honest, what I taught was just one blockade on the coastline. Now, for what I'm reading here, I'm gonna give you guys facts from the U.S. Central Command. It's 2 blockades. So it means that nothing else can come in or out of Iran as we speak today. Now it makes total sense as to why Iran had to close the strait, because nothing is coming in and nothing is coming out. So even Iranians are producing anything that I think is now going out internationally. All right, now another one here I want to touch on before I move on to the next subject. The failed reopening attempt. I want to address that part. And that happened on April 17th. What is the failed reopening attempt? We don't know. I just discovered that today. Now, let me read exactly what that means, right? For all of you guys, let me read that. A brief ceasefire on April 17th, we all know that, led Iran to declare the strait completely reopened. That's what we know. But this was retracted after President Trump stated the U.S. blockade will remain until a final deal of Iran relinquishing its nuclear program. Now, why is the strait closed right now? Many people saying the strait is closed, and I will hold myself one of those because I knew that out of ignorance. The strait is closed because President Trump refused to open the strait. No, the strait is closed because the Iranians are using the strait as a leverage to impose sanctions on the U.S. through other international allies, that the U.S. is the one who is responsible for the strait being closed. But President Trump stated the only reason why they have not removed the blockade is because they want Iran to relinquish its nuclear weapon. Hey guys, hit that like button for me. Follow me, hit that like button because I got more stuff here. Hit that like button, make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow me. Now, so the failed reopening attempt, we all know on April 17th, when Israel and Lebanon came to that mutual agreement. I think it's still enacted, it's still going on. When it came to that mutual understanding and that agreement, Iran was decided, the Iranian was decided, so they chose to open the strait. Now, when they open the strait in commemoration or in collaboration or in consensual, based on the deal that was done between Israel and Lebanon. Now, when they open the strait, maybe they assume in the mind, if the strait is open, maybe the U.S. will remove its blockade. As I just stated, the U.S. added another blockade, so it means that Iran is ideally locked in. Like, when I say locked in, they are locked in. It means that not only just the coastal line is closed, every entrance port into Iran has been closed with a second blockade. Now, any more questions in the lab, guys? Oh man, I got the comments here, bro. I got the comments here. I apologize. Look at the comment. Your mother's still losing this. Let me see. Somebody say the proximity to one is the hell of the drugs. The proximity to, I don't know about that, guys. I don't know about that. The mother losing this. Trump can open the womb. Trump can open the Strait of Hormuz. Hey, I don't know. You know, I don't want to assume if President Trump can open the Strait of Hormuz. I don't want to say the U.S. can open the Strait of Hormuz. I don't want to say that. But I can also say that if they want to open the Strait of Hormuz, they could. But I believe that it has to be on a consensual deal of other countries, like NATO, to come in, like France to come in, Germany to come in, France to come in, Spain to come in, and make this a collected effort if they want the Strait open. Because technically 20% of the oil, of the world supply of oil, those countries that I just listed, France, Germany, Great Britain, Spain, Germany, all these superpowers benefit for 20% of that influx of oil into Iran. So yes, so I believe that the U.S. can open the strait, but the question to y'all out there who just asked the question, why must the U.S. be the sole proprietor, the sole instigator, the sole executor of trying to open the Strait of Hormuz when it should be a collective effort of other countries? I'm just saying. You know what I mean? If we trying to have things, if we say 20% of the war oil comes through that port, then it should not be just the U.S. alone or President Trump alone or the U.S. Navy who just responsible for that. Let me see. Hold on, guys. I'm running out of my battery's going dead here real quick here. Let me see. Serious. You freaking serious. All right. 1 second, guys. 1 second. I'm running a battery here. 1 second. Are you freaking serious? I didn't bring my charger though. I didn't bring my charger. I got almost 500 people in line. Oh man. Shit. Where? Hey guys, 1 second. My battery's going dead. I can't believe that even. That's crazy. Ten guys are letting me know my battery's going dead. 1 second. All right, guys, I apologize. My battery went dead, guys. All right, I apologize. All right, just stay tight. I'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Okay, guys, thank you guys. All right, yes, I got my badge on. All right, guys, I apologize. My battery went dead, and I had to move from where I was to where I'm at now. So let's get back to the recap here. Thanks for the patience, guys. Thanks for the patience. All right, so now what we know thus far, based on the question that you just asked me in the live, right? Now let me say it clear so it won't look like I'm not having an open mind on this. In order for the strait to be open, it has to be a joint effort. And when I say a joint effort, it means that NATO got to be involved, not just the U.S. trying to open it up. NATO got to be involved. Just the world superpower has to be involved to keep the strait open. Not just the U.S. alone should be responsible to keep the strait open. So Do I believe that President Trump can open the strait? Yes. But now the question here would be, then it will lead to a conflict, and that's what the word that we live in do not want. Because if President Trump intends to open the strait, the Iranians are going to resist that, because that's the only leverage that they have. And if President Trump go against that only leverage, Iran has no choice but to declare war or to fight the U.S., and that's where we don't want to go right now as we speak. And that could lead to what we call another crisis. We don't want that. All right. So good question right there. Good answer to your question right there, guys. Are you a Zionist? There we go. No, I'm not a Zionist. I'm not a Zionist. I would need to be paid an anonymous amount of money to wear that hat. All right, guys, stay focused here. Let's stay focused. Let's stay focused on what's going on. Forget about the hat. I'm a Trump guy. Ain't gonna change. All right. All right. So now let's move on here. Let's move on to President Trump demands on Iran. Now, President Trump has made it very clear that he has one major demand on the part of Iran. That's it. One major demand. So we're going to dive into his demand. And he's not saying I got two demands, one. Now, I'm going to read exactly what the U.S. Central Command stated and what President Trump says. And then I would expand on it, right? What is President Trump demands towards Iran? What has been his demand from day one? President Trump, let me read this right here. President Trump current focus and demand from day one when the war started in February has been Iran must dismantle their nuclear infrastructure and remove every physical uranium compounded on their soil. That's it. That's it. President Trump, that's his demand. That is demand. Dismantle Iranian nuclear infrastructure. That has not changed. And he says that remains the primary focus as to why the U.S. would not remove its double blockade around the strait, not the strait rather, around the coastal line, and also around the entrance port of Iran. Now, President Trump says if Iran dismantle its nuclear infrastructure and remove every uranium that they got stored underneath the ground, he will not only remove the blockade, but he will allow, now let me say in the exact way that he said it, he will allow Iranian to have access to their other resources or the other monetary resources as well, if they can remove the nuclear infrastructure and uranium that they got stored underground. If they refuse to remove the nuclear infrastructure and the uranium that they got underground, he will not remove the blockade. And as a matter of fact, he just added another one, and that will remain there until they can come to that agreement. That's where he stands. And he says that yesterday when he addressed the press. That is my demand. It will not change. That's what President Trump stated. So let's move on a little bit here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging tight with me, man. Thank you. All right, so let's see here again. Now, let's dive a little bit more deep into the mindset of President Trump, right? Let's dive a little bit deep into that. You know, for me, I like to be more analytical and dive a little bit more. Why did he say Iran had to give up their nuclear infrastructure? What is the reason behind that? What is the intent? If Iran does, what does it do for the U.S.? What does it do for other countries that surrounds Iran? Does other country that surrounds Iran has nuclear weapon? Let's dive into that. And I'm giving you guys the right message from the U.S. Central Command. I am not reading something that I just wrote. I'm giving you guys direct words from President Trump and the U.S. Central Command on what's going on right now based on what President Trump said. The seizure of nuclear dust. We don't know what a seizure of the nuclear dust is, right? So I'm breaking that down. Trump had demanded that Iran hand over its entire enriched uranium underground. That is what we call the seizure of nuclear dust. They should get that up. Render that. That's President Trump's demand. And he says he gave the exact gram that they have. Now the question here, how does he know? Let me read what he says. An estimation of roughly 440 kilograms. That's the equivalent of the material that Iran has. Uranium. 60% of the materials must be given away for Iran and given to the U.S. That's what he says. We want 440 kilograms, which is 60% of that enriched mineral given to the U.S. Now, don't ask me why the U.S. and why not to NATO. Why not to, to NATO. Why Iran must give it to the U.S. I don't know. I can't answer that question. That's President Trump. He has suggested using a big machinery to go into Iran and undo their nucleus or the uranium that they have underground. That's what he stated. He wants the U.S. themselves to go into Iran. He wants the U.S. to go into Iran and carry on that operation. He does not want the Iranian to say, yeah, is the uranium that we got. He's saying, no, we want to do it ourselves. The U.S. will go in there, dig underground, and get those uraniums, so at least we know that we got it, and not Iran giving this to us. All right, that's President Trump demands. Now, a permanent enrichment ban. These are President Trump breakdown. A permanent enrichment ban. The administration opposes any deal that allows Iran to carry on its own nuclear implementation that will eventually lead to the destruction of the whole world. A permanent enrichment ban. So President Trump is trying, I don't want to say trying to, his intent is to put a permanent ban on Iran in any form for having access to uranium, having access to anything explosive that can affect the globe. All right? So a permanent enrichment ban. Let me read exactly what he says. My administration opposes any deal that allows Iran to continue enriching its own uranium operation that could affect the world in any given time. So we want a permanent enrichment ban, which means Iran can, under no condition, can have access to uranium, access to anything explosive. That's something that he wants signed. All right? Now, infrastructure dismantle. Infrastructure dismantle. And now let me say this, guys. Iran is not in agreement with President Trump's demands. Iran does not want to permanently have any ban on uranium or nuclear weapon. Now, number two, Iran is not going to allow the U.S. to go into Iran to dig underneath its soil to uproot anything that they already got. They are not in agreement with that. That's President Trump demands, but they are not in agreement with that. Another demand for President Trump: infrastructure dismantle. Now let me read what he says. President Trump. Our demands include the dismantling of any nuclear facility and sophisticated facility that Iran already has constructed underground that we know of. Now, Iran is now willing to dismantle its infrastructure in any form. Now let me take you guys back, right? Let me take you guys back here to why the first meeting did not work out. These were the demands on the part of the U.S. towards Iran. That's the major reason why the first meeting did not materialize. Here are the demands here. Seizure of nuclear dust. Iran said they're not giving 60% of the enrichment uranium to the U.S. on a no condition. Number two, permanent enrichment ban. Iran is not willing to be permanently banned by the U.S. or NATO in any way, in any form. So they disagree. Infrastructure dismantle. Iran is not consenting to having their infrastructure dismantled of any kind at all. So these demands were demands that will be imposed by President Trump, JD Vance, Marco Rubio on Iran. And Iran said they were not honoring that. That's the primary reason why the first meeting did not materialize. Now the last one here, extended memorandum. I'm gonna break that down. Extended memorandum. President Trump has pushed on indefinite suspension. Extended memorandum. President Trump has pushed for an indefinite suspension. JD Vance, I said JD Vance. JD Vance has also pushed for indefinite suspension for 20 years that Iran has no access to any explosive at all. For 20 years. Viewer limits. Get more subscription. Get more subscribe to get more views the next time you go. Alright guys, so now let me recap this and then move to the last phase of the discussion here. Four demands from President Trump. And someone asked me one time, why did the first meeting fail? Why the first meeting between Iran and the U.S. failed? Because President Trump had four demands that Iran was not willing to honor at all. They were not willing to give 20% of their uranium to the U.S. They disagreed. They're not going to do that. As a matter of fact, 440 kilograms, which is 60%, they were not willing to give that to the U.S. Now, that was off the board. Number two, they refused to take an enrichment ban, meaning Iran on a no condition can have any enrichment of uranium at all. Zero. Can never have it. They refuse to take a ban. Number three, infrastructure dismantlement. They do not want any of the infrastructure, whether it's nuclear infrastructure, whether it's infrastructure that has the potential of becoming something of a nucleus in the future. They refuse to allow that operation or that work to be on a no condition dismantled. So that didn't work. The last one, they refused to take a 20 years ban. So JD Vance, President Trump, wants Iran to take a 20 years ban to not have access to no nuclear weapon at all. Iran says now, we are not meeting none of those demands. So the first meeting did not materialize. Now, I believe this second meeting, these same demands for President Trump will be brought up on Wednesday. President Trump has not taken none of these demands off the table. They will be brought forth on Wednesday. Now my question here, what will Iran do? Will they take the deal or don't take the deal? Now let's move on. The last one I want to touch on here, not the last one, but on President Trump. Domestic nuclear energy agenda. If you guys can recall, let me take you guys back. You might not remember, but let me take you guys back. NATO were doing what we call investigation. They will go to Iran every other 3 months, or maybe I think twice a year, every 6 months. But I'm gonna do a little research on that. 6 months or every other 3 months, they will go to Iran and take a look at their nucleus infrastructure. If it's anything that seems like it has a potential of panning to be something destructive, they are entitled to impose a sanction on Iran. But do you guys also know when Obama came into office, I don't want to say he shut that down, but that was never enacted. It was never effective. When President Biden came into office, that was also never effective. So it means that Obama 8 years, Biden 4 years, combined 12 years, there was no effective inspection of Iranian nucleus power structure. Zero. So it means that in 12 years, Iranian had the capability to build drones. The drones that you see today that Iran is flying today, those drones were built in the 12-year span. 8 years Obama, 4 years Biden, combined 12 years. That's what today, this is why Iran is so powerful right now. Because for 12 years, there was no inspection of their capability. I just want to throw that in there. All right? Now, domestically, this is what the U.S. Central Command are saying in relation to President Trump. Domestically, Trump issued executive order in June 2025. Remember this, guys. Remember this. Remember this. When President Trump was in office, remember this stuff. He launched what we call American nucleus, the Renaissance, against Iran. When he got into office, he launched that against Iran. All right? Now, when Biden came into office, President Biden, that I really love, did not follow through on those demands. All right? Now, capability expansion. Capability. Now, according to United Nations, I'm sorry, guys. According to NATO, when they did their research, the time that they had a chance to do their research, Iranian shown less potential of creating harm even to the next door neighbors. That was the finding that NATO got. No, they don't have anything at all that could even affect their next door neighbors. Now, from what I'm reading here from the U.S. Central Command, Iran controlled the navigation of those NATO's inspectors when they came in to Iran to inspect their weapons. They were not permitted to go underground. Do you know that underground is where most of Iran real equipments are? Those inspectors were never allowed to go to these places. So any inspection that were done, according to the U.S. Central Command, they were done on the surface level. Now, the question here, did these NATO inspectors knew there were other I don't want to say, a uranium operation being built underneath the ground? The chances are that they didn't probably know, but they were never allowed to. That's the reason why today we know how equipped Iran really is, because most of their operation today is underground. All right, so the last one here, fuel independence, and this is very crucial. Fuel independence. Now the question to you guys in the live here. Let me go back. No, hold on. Let me go in the live here and see what's going on in the live. Let me go in the live, guys. Let me go in the live here. Man, woo! Make sure, guys, you hit that like button. Tomorrow, I will be at the courthouse tomorrow. Follow me tomorrow. Follow me. Hit that like button. Follow me. Subscribe. Subscribe, guys. All right. Let me read something here, and I'm gonna shout out whoever says it. This guy, top security CIA man. No, I'm not a top CIA man. No, thank you guys. I'm not. I'm a journalist, guys. I'm a journalist, all right? I'm a journalist. I'm not a top security guy. No. Man, how can you know that? How do I know that? Because I'm a journalist. I research stuff. You know what I mean? Stop the mega hot madness. Thank you, guys. It is obvious that you are reading, but you are not reading very well. None of what you are saying is making sense. Thank you. If it's not making sense, then tell me to reiterate what is not making sense. Because other people on live here who stay on live here. So if it wasn't making sense, they will let me know. That is the problem. We cannot mind our own business. Thank you. Who says that right there? Tyrese Green, 1496. Tyrese Green says, that is the problem. We cannot mind our own business if it's got nothing to do with us. You know what? I agree with Tyrese Green, 1492. You know, I want to plead the fifth. I want to say something, but I'm gonna hold it back a little bit because right now I am giving information out. I don't want to contradict what I'm saying, but what you said right there makes sense. The war in Iran, or we going to war in Iran right now, did not make sense. It had nothing to do with us, but I'm gonna leave it up in the air. Okay, guys. All right. He does not know how to think critically. Yes, that's right, guys. That's right. That's right. All right, good. Now, so the last one here, let me recap on this right here. So if you just get on the live, and you're wondering what's going on here, I'm doing a full length of recap since Friday night to Saturday morning. The strait was open. At about 10 o'clock, the strait got reclosed. And when the strait got reclosed, the Iranian leaders stated, what we call the IRGC stated, they have to close it because of the U.S. blockade at the entrance point. Now, what we all thought, if we remove the blockade, it would allow Iran to open the strait. President Trump says that is not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Even though 20% of the world needs oil, but our demands are greater than 20%. We want to make sure Iran can relinquish 60% of their nuclear uranium weapons that they have. If they are willing to relinquish those things, we are willing to remove one blockade, but the two blockade that we got there. So while the word is saying President Trump is responsible for the lack of 20% of the oil flow, President Trump is saying, no, I'm not responsible. I just want Iran to remove all their nuclear infrastructure, give us the U.S. 20% of their uraniums. If they can do that and allow us to go in there and retrieve those 60% of their uraniums and dismantle their infrastructure, and also if they can take 20 years of suspension, we will remove the blockade, and not remove the blockade, we will allow them to have access to their monetary that is already restricted. All right, so just a recap on that. Now, JD Vance, as I speak right now, JD Vance is on his way to Pakistan. And we all know why JD Vance is going to Pakistan. We also know that the intent of this, the urgency of this meeting, I hope the urgency of this meeting will be equivalent to the urgency of 20% of the world needing oil. Now, why are they going to Islamabad? Why are they going to Islamabad? Why is JD Vance going to Alibaba? Let me use the word Alibaba. I'm trying to get that pronunciation right. The second round of high-stake peace talk between the U.S. and Iran is at Alabama. It is currently scheduled to be held between Tehran and the U.S. delegates or delegations in Pakistan on Wednesday. The meeting starts on Tuesday and it goes from Tuesday to Wednesday. Now, what is the primary objective of that meeting? That's all I want you guys to get. Because the meeting starts tomorrow, it goes to Wednesday. Whatever comes out of that meeting, according to President Trump, will determine whether the U.S. will attack Iran or whether the U.S. will use military force to open the strait. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be a determining factor. Now, what is the key objective? The talk proceed, the primary focus is to secure a memorandum. I think I read that memorandum, and that memorandum was rejected by Iran the first time. Now, let me read the memorandum. If you just got on and you never heard me reading the memorandum, let me read that again. And that is the memorandum that Iran rejected the first time. That's the main reason why the first meeting did not materialize, because Iran refused to honor the memorandum for President Trump and the U.S. Navy and the U.S. government. Let me say the U.S. government. So what is the memorandum? Seizure of nuclear dust. Iran says they are not giving 60% of their uraniums to the U.S. They're not doing that. That is one of the memorandum. Number two of the memorandum, to ban every enrichment program going on in Iran, to have it banned. Iran says, no, we are not allowing any enrichment that we got going on in Iran to be banned. That's number two of the memorandum. Number three of the memorandum, infrastructure dismantlement. What that means, America wants Iran to dismantle every sophisticated infrastructure in Iran. And Iran said they're not going to do that. Number two, extended memorandum. This is the major part right here. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me put my back on. That is the most important part right here, right? The U.S. won Iran to ban. I don't want to say ban. Is that right? To suspend its operation for 20 years. Yeah. All right, let me read that part. Extended memorandum. President Trump wants Iran to ban its operation indefinitely for 20 years flat, without any nuclear activity taking place in Tehran. And Iran rejected that demand. So those are the four memorandum that, again, President Trump is bringing back to this meeting here that will be held on Tuesday. Now, my question here, if Iran rejected these memorandum on the first meeting, I believe that, and I don't want to go ahead of myself. I don't want to go ahead of myself here and criticize that the meeting tomorrow will not materialize. I don't want to say that. But if Iran rejected the memorandum on the first meeting, what would make it different in the second meeting with the same memorandum? I don't think they're going to adhere to it. I don't think they're going to agree to it. And that's why it's going to be another stalemate tomorrow meeting, because President Trump wants these memorandum to be inclusive in the meeting tomorrow. Yeah, so that's what we are. That's what we are. Just a recap here real quick. Ceasefire extension. Pakistan is pushing. Now, Pakistan is pushing. from tomorrow that the U.S. and Iran create of 60 days, they call it 2 months, 60 days of peace talk. Now, within the 60 days of peace talk, they are demanding or requesting that the Strait of Hormuz remain open or should be open. That is Pakistan request for tomorrow's meetings. Saying we want 60 days of peace talk, of a peace or ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. But while that 60 days of peace or ceasefire is going on, we want the Strait of Hormuz to be open so 20% of the world can get oil. Now, no problem. I disagree. I disagree if Iran will agree to say, all right, let's take the 60 days, but let's have the Strait open, and they cannot get anything coming in and out of Iran. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna take that deal. It could be, but I don't know that they could. That's where we stand. What's the next point I want to add on here? Yeah, so pretty much that's it. That's where we stand. So hopefully tomorrow meeting will be a determining factor. Tomorrow meeting will be a determining factor if the 60 days demand from Pakistan will stand. That is the major part. Whether that will stand or will it stand, we're gonna find out. We're gonna see. I don't think Iran is willing to take the memorandum. They're not willing to dismantle their infrastructure. They are not willing to give 60% of their uranium to the U.S. in any form. I don't see that happening. They are not willing to take a 20 years ban. I don't see that happening. So yeah, that's where we stand. Let me see the chat here. Let me see the question. Yeah, you guys are in the chat killing me. He also visited Kamala Harris. Iran ain't going to give up. Someone said, who said that right here? Paul Smith. Iran is not going to give up. You might as well forget that. If Iran push Russia out of their country, what do you think they would do to America with boots on the ground? Let me read that right there. I love that. I love what Paul Smith said. Paul Smith said, if Iran drove Russia out of Iran with boots on the ground, they are saying if the U.S. put boots on the ground, he's saying that they will feel the same exact weight that Russia felt when they put boots on the ground in Iran. So, Paul Smith, can you be more clear and break it down? Are you saying that the reason why Iran will not cave in is because when it comes to putting boots on the ground, they are more equipped than that? Is that what you're saying? All right, I'm just curious. You know what I mean? I just want to know if that how you feel. Because to be honest, I don't think I don't want to say what you say is not true. I don't want to say the U.S. is not equipped enough to fight against Iran and to put boots on the ground. I do not believe that's the route that they want to go. Yeah, I don't think that's the route that President Trump wants to go. And if the U.S. would ever get in a fight with Iran, they would rather fight the war from an airspace. Go in there, just blow up certain important parts in Iran, destabilize the country and put in the chaos. I don't think they are relying on putting boots on the ground to fight. That is my take on that. You know what I mean? That is what I'm saying. So they wanted them to dismantle. Yes, President Trump wants Iran to dismantle, to abolish and disestablish every every nucleus uranius operation in Iran. That's the route President Trump wants them to go. And Iran is saying they're not going to do that. So they want, that's correct. They want to dismantle everything, stop the uranius and listen. That's right. So Iran is saying that they're not going to do it. They are not going to give up their uranius operation. They are not going to stop their enrichment process. Also, they are, what is that again? They are not going to destroy the infrastructures. It doesn't matter whether it's a nucleus infrastructure or any enrichment. They're not going to adhere to that. And that was something that they said during the first meeting. Ice baby, ice baby. I like that when you guys said ice baby. You know, if you guys say ice baby, you gotta be a hater in your life to say ice baby. You know what? To be honest, it's ice. I'll be the last immigrant that ICE will ever attack. To be honest, all right. Let's get it clear. So thousands of top security files held in unsecure. There we go. You guys want to go back on a whole different conversation that is not even part of the of what's going on in the Middle East. Where are we getting $200 billion from? Why can't you answer the question? Where are we getting $200 billion from? All right. ADHD, brother 420. You tell me. I mean, you ask me a question, but you know what I mean? You tell me, where are we getting $200 billion from? Be more clear, guys. Be more clear so I can understand. What do you mean? 200 billion. From what? Because I never talk about 200 billion. Do you know how many boats of oil are selling today right now? I know for a fact, across America, oil costs about, not oil, gasoline costs at least $5. At least $5. That's what I know right now. Gasoline. So if you're driving a car right now in New York City, and I bet you in LA, it's probably right about the same price I'm talking about. Maybe in Connecticut, someone told me Connecticut is not expensive. I think $3.99. The last time someone told me that was Friday. Today, as we speak right now, gasoline at least about $5 or more. MLK would not approve of this. My MLK would not approve of this. Do you know how many boats of oil we are selling today right now? All right, so when you say this right here, are you saying you are Iranian, telling me that you guys are selling more oil even though there's a blockade? I just want to understand that. If you say that in that context, I would agree because I'm not there. How many Trump lies will you believe? Well, I'm just giving you guys the most current, up to date, since Saturday to this Monday. That's the most you can ever get. All right? And I'm giving you guys the most current one. And you guys know I'm a journalist, so I ain't got to exaggerate. I ain't got to read somebody else's said. I'm giving you guys facts. All right? Research I've done. Oh, man, now we have a mic. Yes, we got a mic. We got a mic now. Bro, you just have taught me something that I didn't know. All right. Well, I mean, that's what I do. You know, I give you facts. I do more research. I just don't talk for the outsketch. I'm a journalist, so when I decide to talk about something, I want to be something you never heard before. So when you get this news from me, you can spread that out. And when anybody go back and just hear this conversation, they can retain the facts I'm giving. So thank you if you got re-educated. That's the goal. That's the goal right here, guys. Shoes, thousands are being stolen, secret files, and holding them in unsecured bathroom. All right, guys. You know what? I got you. Let's stay focused, man. Let's stay focused. Ask about that. Are you trying to say JD Vance? Yes. JD Vance will be there. The meeting starts tomorrow. It goes till Wednesday. Whatever decision that's made for that meeting will determine whether President Trump is going to launch an attack on Iran or whether the strait going to remain open or open. Tomorrow meeting up to Wednesday will determine that. So good question in the live. Good question. That will be determined. So the meeting tomorrow is crucial. Don't take that for granted. It's crucial tomorrow. Whatever JD Vance says, whatever Marco Rubio says, President Trump is going to go right. He's going to follow those instructions and execute. Let me see here in the meeting. Let me see here. Shipping companies are now paying $2 million per boat on Iran. I don't know about that estimate, guys. I don't want to lie. What I was told, what I know, that Iran created an exceptional outlet for other boats to travel through. And that outlet that it created, they were taxing ships that went through. So it means that Iran has another outlet that ship goes through, and not the Strait of Hormuz. And that outlet that some ship been through that we know of, and President Trump even stated, he called that a global distortion. All right? I didn't know Iran had another outlet where ship can go through. And there are ships that, since this whole crisis has been going on, there are countries who are getting oil through another exit port to their country, and they are paying taxes for going through those ports. So you are right on that. You're absolutely right. Iran is taxing other countries to go through that port. May God bless us. May God bless us all without hunger, pain, suffering, and death. Always forgive. Oh, guys, inside all of us. Thank you, guys. That's inspiring right there. I love it. Why do you keep saying nuclear? Are you trying to say nuclear? All right, nuclear. I'll say nuclear. All right, thank you, guys. Thank you. Nuclear. Bro, what is in the world are we doing? Are you even in the U.S.? Yes, bro. I am in New York City, bro. All right, I'm gonna call you bro, so you call me bro. I'm in the U.S. I'm in New York City. Yeah, so yeah, that's correct. ADHD bro 420 says, when is the $200 billion coming from to fund the war in Iran? Good question. I was at a meeting at City Hall when Mayor Madani said the same thing. Mayor Madani said something at a press meeting that blew my freaking mind. He said we are spending million every day in Iran, million every day. So when you say 200 billion, it does make sense. But where do we get that money from? How do we get that money? Taxpayers. Taxpayers. Taxpayers are funding the war in Iran right now. Whether they agree or don't agree, they are funding that war. So if you asking me, where are we getting that money from? For the taxpayers. I mean, where else can we get 200 billion from? Taxpayers, the ones that wake up in the morning and go to work, and taxes are being deducted, and the federal taxes are being given to the federal government to fund the war. That's where that money is coming from. The hard labor work of Americans who work every day, who can barely get food to eat. You know what I mean? It's not my place to judge and question, but that's where that money is coming from. The taxpayers. That is the only thinking in my mind right now. And as Madani told us at one of his press conference, we are spending millions a day to fight a war in Iran. So, good question though. Yo, bro, where do we get 200 billion? I love this question. You guys keep asking me that. Taxpayers. These people mad A black person support Trump. Thank you. Thank you. Someone mad that a black man support Trump. I know. I get a lot of hate on that. A lot of hate. ADHD, bro, 420. Yo, why are you not going to answer the $200 billion question? I just answered the question. ADHD, bro, 420. I just said the taxpayers, if you got a job, the taxes that being subtracted from what you earn, what you work for, that's what is used to fund the war in Iran. I hope I answered that question. That's the only way I can think, except we manufacture money, make some new, go back and cost some money and make money. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of in my head. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the only thing that will occur to my mind right now. Yeah. So yeah, guys, so that's where we are right now. And thanks for all the questions, guys, in the live. If I don't answer your question, I apologize. I got hundreds of questions here, hundreds. I can answer every question here. What are you reading? Okay, if you just got on the live here, we are doing 4 major recaps. All right, and I'm just gonna run through the recaps here real quick here. The Iranian ship that was seized by the U.S. Navy. The name of the ship is called Touska. The ship was seized by the U.S. Navy after 6 hours of warning, and the ship refused to adhere to the U.S. Navy warning for 6 hours, so they attacked the ship, Touska, and seized the ship, and that ship is the Iranian ship on the international waters. Number 2, Hormuz. Hormuz. Is the Strait of Hormuz open? No. Has it been closed since Saturday? Saturday, yes. Has Iran reconsidered opening the strait? No. What will be the possibility of the strait being open? Depending on the meeting Tuesday and Wednesday, that will be a determining factor if Iran would. But as of today, the U.S. has 2 Navy SEAL blockade on the coastal line and the entrance port of Iran. Number 3, sorry guys. President Trump demands that Iran dismantle every nuclear weapon, dismantle every infrastructure, gives to America 60% of its Uranus, and also sign on 20 years that they will refuse to develop and build any nuclear weapon. Those were President Trump demands. Number 4, Asalamba. Asalamba is the meeting place in Pakistan that JD Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and few other delegates will be tomorrow having a meeting to decide the fate of the globe. That meeting tomorrow will determine if 20% of the world oil will be enacted, whether the strait will be open tomorrow. That meeting also determines what President Trump stated. He will wet out Iran, wet out every human being on the soil of Iran. If that meeting does not materialize, there's a possibility that will happen. All right. Also, that meeting tomorrow will determine if the U.S. will remove 2 of its major blockade from the entrance port. So if you just got on the live here, these are the recaps here that I am talking on or talked on. So if you get on the live here, let me know. I'll do a recap. That's where we are right now, and I'm just going through. The matter of fact, guys, I'm not a Jamaican. I'm an African or South African. I am a 3rd generation of Nelson Mandela. the third generation of Nelson Mandela. Let me say it again one more time again. I am the third generation of Nelson Mandela. All right? I'm the third C generation of Nelson Mandela. I'm an activist. You see how I sound? I'm an activist. Third C of Nelson Mandela in America. America cannot send me home any given day, period. I'm a third C of Nelson Mandela. All right? Let's get it clear now. So you can call ICE, you can call who the heck you want to call. I'm untouchable in America. I'm a third C generation of Nelson Mandela. Do you know what that is? When you say the third C of Malcolm X, the third C of Dr. King, I'm the third C of Mandela. You heard? I don't need American citizenship. I don't need it. I just don't need American citizenship. I don't. You need it. I don't need it. I don't need American citizenship. You need it. So let's get it clear now. But I am stable in America, legally for life, until I choose to leave. Let's get it clear now. So let's call all that crap out there in our chat. Let's clear it out. I'm a third C generation of Mandela. Get it clear. I'm in America for life until I choose to go back. I don't need American citizenship. Let's get it clear. I don't need one. Zero. You will never see me say I'm an American. I'm a South African born. I love it. Let's get it clear now. I'm an activist. You see how I talk? I'm an African. So let's move on now. Thank you. Okay, you understand that? That's right. Great. Okay, so that's where we stand, guys. Now, my perspective now. You know, I let you close with my perspective now, right? President Trump would not kill all the Iranians in Iran. He's a man who has a heart. He's not going to do it. But that tells you how irritated he is, because NATO countries who supposed to help the U.S. make this crisis easier, they refuse. Spain refused for the U.S. to use their soil. So I understand the frustration on the part of President Trump. You got a bunch of idiots in this country who is against President Trump for going to help America, greatest, let me use the word, greatest ally. Israel is America's greatest ally. Ain't no country in America is the greatest ally to America than Israel. So it makes no sense for for America to not adhere to Israel being on an attack. Do you guys know what an ally really is? You guys don't even know that. An ally is someone who is loyal to you, and when they get in a crisis, you ought to get in that crisis with them. See, you guys don't know loyalty. You see what I'm saying? Some of you guys, you see, I got a bunch of Americans here who got no concept of loyalty. Ask any immigrant. Loyalty is in our blood. See, Americans, you guys are just jacked up. No concept of loyalty. You turn your back on someone who cares about you. You talk crap and trash. That's what Americans do. We don't do that. Immigrants don't do that. We are loyal. That's it. President Trump would stand with Israel because he's understand what loyalty really is. So if Israel said we need you, come in. You see NATO refuse to assist America to fight what is going on right now in Iran. But NATO president, or the U.S. is a part of NATO, but NATO refused to assist President Trump. Thank you guys for the thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up. You know what? You guys want me to talk real talk, so I'm gonna talk real talk. I've been talking the journalism talk. Let me talk real talk so you guys hear me, right? If you're an American in your life, you don't know what loyalty really is. You don't know that. You don't know. Because loyalty is like, if you support something, and I don't care what that thing does, you will ride with that thing to the end. That's what President Trump is doing. Israel is in a conflict, even though it's not us, but they are our allies. So we're going to jump in the war and help fight the war. All right? Now, number two, I don't believe, and God help me out, all right? I don't want to sound negative. I don't want to throw the negative word out there. I don't believe Iran will cave in tomorrow's meetings. I don't believe so. I don't believe Iran will take the L tomorrow in that meeting tomorrow. I don't believe so. I believe Iran's strategy, tomorrow's meeting, they will say, we want the U.S. and President Trump to remove the blockade from our entrance port. That is their game plan tomorrow. That is Iran's game plan tomorrow. We don't want to negotiate on anything. The only negotiation we need right now, we will open the strait, and we want America, President Trump, to remove the blockade, and that's it. To me, that is their game plan tomorrow. Iran is not, they don't give a jack about the memorandum. It ain't gonna work. They're gonna do a fair trade tomorrow. There you go, President Trump, we open the strait tomorrow. 20% of the war oil can go through tomorrow. We want you to remove your blockade, and that's that. That is the deal tomorrow. I bet you tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'll be at the courthouse tomorrow morning, do another kiss tomorrow morning. I will come back again and do a live tomorrow and tell you the same exact thing I'm saying. Iran will settle tomorrow with the U.S. on a one condition. On a one condition. We open the strait, you remove your blockade, and we good. That's it. Now, what else I want to say again? Oil prices, and guys, let me know if you, I see someone laughing. Someone laughing. Let me laugh back, man. Let me laugh back. Somebody said, let me laugh back. I love when you guys laugh. Okay, now watch this. What state are you guys in? What country? Because most of you guys from just let me know what country you're in and what is the gas price in the country you're in or the state you're in. Let me know, guys. So I can tell you guys what is the price here. So tell me what country you're in, what state you from, and what is the price on gasoline. Somebody hit me up right now. Atlanta. Oh, I love Atlanta, man. I love Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for almost 2 years. 315. That's not bad in Atlanta. It's not bad. 215. 315. Atlanta. Atlanta. All right. Somebody else in the chat. Atlanta. 315. Florida. Stop playing. Stop playing. Stop playing. California. Ooh. $6.65. Ooh. Memphis. $3.69. That's not bad. That's Tennessee. Oh, Tennessee. Oh, $2.80. California. $5.20. Yes. Yeah, California. Yeah. Orange County. Oh, yeah, yeah. Orange County. Definitely. Chicago. Chicago. What the price? Chicago. Australia. $8. Oh, man. Canada. Hold on. You said Canada. You said it. Hold on now. Hold on, guys. You said Canada is what? Canada is $1 and hold on. Is it a Canadian Canadian? All right, good. Thank you, guys. I just want to get that clarity. All right, so Canada is okay. So in the Canadian, okay. All right, I apologize, guys. I'm trying to understand the conversion. 8 gallons of gas. Okay, now, can someone tell me if you fill a tank, how much you think it will cost you in California, in whatever country you're in? How much it costs to fill a tank today? Yes, Canada. Okay, Canadian dollar. Thank you. Bill Willie Stone 6138. Thank you, Bill Willie Stone. Thank you. Larry Duckson 1121. Thank you. How you doing? Sorry, bud. Sorry. I didn't say. I'm so uncivilized not to say. Not a wave back. I apologize, guys. Talk to me. Woo! Man, that's a lot. 65 to 70. Ooh, that's a lot. Florida's 15 gallon will cost $60. You see right there, man? You see right there? Someone said 90 liters will cost about, what truck are you driving? What truck is that? What truck are you driving? Bill Williston. Man. Woo. See what I'm talking about right here, man. The price is crazy. How you doing, Duck? Duck Notoria, hi. How you doing, guys? You know what? I apologize. I'm going to say hi back. I'm so concerned with reading this content. What is the real price where you are? New York City, I would say about $6. In the city itself, it's about $6 and change. In the outskirts, about maybe close to $5 or so. And that is with a 10 gallons tank with a hybrid Lexus. Oh, I love that. I love what she said. Who's that? Susie. Susie Golden. How you doing, baby? 6805. How you doing? Oh, a Ram truck. You know what? Listen to me. I would never be driving a Ram truck right now. Not with the price of gas. Nah, guys. Not me. You know what? But hey, salute to you, though. Salute to you. A Ram truck with the gas price being outrageous. Now, thanks for telling us. No, man, no, guys. I'm having a level of empathy for those who driving trucks now with gas prices outrageous. I feel my CRV for about $50 to $60. President Trump said the same exact thing in Memphis. Oh boy. Memphis. Oh boy, man. You know what? Look. We need it straight open again. We need it straight open. We need it open, man. I feel my let me see. We need it straight open. We need it open. These prices you guys telling me is outrageous. Denala. Oh man, sorry. Denala. Woo. So you guys understand it. So you guys are feeling the effect from the Strait of Hormuz. You guys are feeling it because the question, just the pricing. So it tells you, just imagine third world countries. Just imagine that. If we in the US pay 60, 65, $70 to just fill our tank. Imagine other countries, third world countries. How much do you think they pay? Come on, man. I just pray tomorrow some good news from that meeting comes up where, it's feasible, because we can go another 6 months with this strait being closed, with gas price being outrageous as it is. Gas still have not reached the Biden highs. Okay. What is the Biden highs? Somebody talk to me. What's the Biden high? I forgot the Biden high. Was it $7 or $8? Somebody tell me what the Biden high is. Then maybe I will say, you know what? It's not that bad. Let me read what Justin Winch 7325 says. These prices were the same U.S. cost during the surge. Okay, in 2007, 2009, under Bush. Okay. All right, that's a little bit of history. It's a little bit of history. Somebody said, who is that? Scottish 7630. 120 a tank in the UK. Ooh, boy, in the UK. 120 a tank. It was over $4 in Memphis on the body. Okay. It was over $4. Okay. Thank you. Who's that? Let me see who's that. Scout P 763. Thank you, Scout P. Trump is involved in the crypto. Trump coin. The EST term. Okay, good. All right. Body high in COVID high. Somebody said body high is COVID high. All right, I love that. Body high is COVID high. You guys are genius. I love that. And guys, make sure you subscribe to me. Make sure you subscribe, guys, because this week we got 4 major try, and I want you guys to get on when I go live. 4 major try tomorrow. The decision was already made on the Weinstein. The Weinstein trial starts tomorrow. So I'll be down at the courthouse tomorrow And I want you guys to be live with me. I'm gonna give you guys current, up to date. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you do that. Hello, beautiful black woman. Somebody said hello to themselves. Isn't that amazing? All right, guys, back to the gas price. Plus, when 4 major stock frame own 85% of the U.S. stock, y'all are being played. The insurance that says no to traveling also own the gas company. All right, I love the education here. This war was the most to do with keeping the dollar as the global oil currency. They are trying to save the dollar from the collapse. Venezuela too. Okay, see, I like you guys giving me more education. Iran gave the U.S. 10 things it wants for the Strait to reopen. Okay, hold on here. Isaiah David, give me that 10 things that Iran wants the U.S. to do to open the Strait. Put that in the chat. I'll read that. Let me see here again. Let me see what else here again. Hello, beautiful. Put that in the chat, guys. Put it in the chat. The 10 things. $100 is $100. 100% is the U.S. versus the BRICS for global currency. I agree. What a shame. Hey, blood clot. All right, I know what you guys say here. All right, good. This war has the most to do with the keeping of the dollar afloat. All right, I love the education, guys. I love the education. So yeah, so if you just got on again, let me do a recap here. Let me do a recap for those who just got on. And again, welcome to my live here. I am SDWJR. Follow me on every social media and also make sure you subscribe to me, all right? The U.S. Navy and the Central Command recently seized an Iranian flag cargo ship called Touska near the Strait of Hormuz on April 19, 2026. The U.S. Central Command seized the ship and they stated for 6 hours they negotiated with the Iranian flag cargo ship, but the ship refused to follow their instruction. So they launched an attack on the ship and seized the ship. Number 2, the Strait of Hormuz is on a deadlock where 20% of the global oil flows through. Today, as we speak, that part of the strait has been closed. Also, a retaliation from Donald Trump, the U.S. government, they have included another blockade on every entrance port on Iran as of today, as I'm speaking right now. President Trump demands 4 major things from Iran. President Trump wants 60% of all Iranian enriched Uranus and all their enriched infrastructure hand over to the U.S. government. President Trump also wants a ban on every uranium operation and enrichment in Iran. Number 3, President Trump also wants every infrastructure dismantled in Iran. And lastly, President Trump wants Iranian government to take a 20 years no construction of any nuclear weapon or any uranium operation across the globe for 20 years. That is a recap. So if you just got on here, that was all I've been talking about in the last one. Alamba, Aslimba, Alisimba. I'm trying to sound more Pakistani. All right, now, tomorrow there's a meeting held as Islamba, and that meeting will determine if the red zone, which we call the Strait of Hormuz, will that red zone reopen or remain closed. The meeting tomorrow and Wednesday, it starts tomorrow, it goes till Wednesday, will determine if the red zone, the Strait of Hormuz, will remain open or closed. Also, it will determine if President Trump will wipe out Iran from the map of the globe. That's where we are. That's a recap. So you just got on, son. You need a call in. Yes, I know Canada is a closing tight. I need you folks to wake up. Yes. All right, guys. So that's where we are now, man. Any more questions, guys? Let me do a little bit more research here. Do a little bit more study. You know, I do a little bit of coding here and there. Let me do a little bit of coding here. Give me my damn tariff refund. You gotta ask President Trump on that refund, guys. All right. Now, someone told me that Justin Wine 73. Someone told me that it's 10 demands. Let me research something real quick. 10 demands. Someone said 10 demands that Iran wants from America before they can open the strait. Let me read something real quick here. What is the 10 demands? The 10 demands from Iran to the U.S. To open the Strait of Hormuz. Let me see what our demands are, all right? Let me Google that right now and see what our demands are. All right, so it says here, let me read something here, and I'm gonna close on this here. So Iran 10-point plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz was reported on April 20th. The primary demand from Iranian and their secondary sanction by the U.S. These are their demands. Now you guys pay close attention as I read their demands. And these are their 10 points demands that will be discussed tomorrow at the Alisimba tomorrow. Lifting all U.S. sanction. These are Iran's 10 points of demand to President Trump and the U.S. government. Lifting all U.S. sanction. Remove all primary and secondary sanction on Iran. Number 2, straight sovereignty and toll. Recognition of Iranian control, allowing Iran to charge toll on shipping through the Strait of Hormuz because they control that part of the strait belongs to them, and they have the right to charge toll on that part of the strait. Number 3, security control. Iran to redefine hostile vessel and banning U.S. and Israel and Israelite ship for coming through Iranian, what do you call it? The international waters that's close to Iran. Number 5, is that right? Yeah, number 5. Security guarantee. A U.S. guarantee of non-aggression towards Iran. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And all hostilities. Ending the war on all fronts, including Lebanon. Number 7. Release all assets. Releasing all funding that U.S. froze. Reconstruction. America should reconstruct everything that they destroyed in Iran since the war started. Independent regional security. Remove every external military involvement in the Gulf. So it means that Iran is saying, President Trump, America should remove every operation that they got in the Gulf. Number 9. Number 9. And Navy blockade. Remove of U.S. blockade on every Iranian port. Number 10. Recognition of Iranian framework. Accept, agree, and respect Iran as an independent and a sovereign nation. That's it. That's what we are. Let me see here what you guys in the comment here. Bro, you are chilling. You are playing. What are you doing here, man? Is this? Yeah, guys. Anyway, I love you guys and God bless. If I don't go live tonight from home, I will go live tomorrow at the wine stand. All right. So thanks for hanging with me. I love you guys all the time. You guys hang with me all the time. Yeah. God bless you. Good night.